Welcome back. The Prime Minister is pushing to do away with an issue that's long been allowed to fester, the existence of shantytowns, leading a delegation of cabinet ministers and government officials for a full assessment of yesterday's fire in the Mud Abaco this morning. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis questioned why those here legally would not simply purchase a piece of property in a proper subdivision, just like everyone else, stressing that the age-old habit of breaking the law must stop.
Any of you would have no problem if given the opportunity, just like everyone else in Nassau, Andres, wherever, an opportunity to purchase land, build under our standards. That's the message you have to send out to this group. But let them know that we're not going to tolerate it. This is a thing of the past. All safety rules are broken.
And he admonished a neighboring resident to spread the word that the illegality won't be allowed to continue. Now, Abaco resident Roscoe Thompson III suggested the government place roads and lights to open up the mud area to possibly better monitor the shantytown community.
Start to see I think the houses start to disappear. But something needs to, as you know, for the past 30 years, it's been going like this. There was a section in the mud that burnt down a couple years ago that they fenced off. Well, 3/4 of that is built back up. So there's nowhere for Ministry of Works to get up in here to look and see what's going on, unless they get out of the truck. Same with the police, defense force. You can call them as much as you want, but there's only so much that they can do, and only so far that they can get up.
You need to put road and basically get zoning. What exists now, we have to break that.
Now, as for the long-term solutions to address this vexing issue, the Prime Minister, during a press conference, says a committee has been established.
A month ago, we had established a cabinet committee with all the relevant agencies looking at all shanty towns throughout the Bahamas. And we were putting plans to tackle these and resolve these issues once and for all. So that cabinet committee, they have an initial draft, but we must wait for them to complete their long-term plan. But that, we've already started that. This was just something that occurred in spite of us moving forward. And we will continue to move forward. You find that when you're derailed from a plan or program that you have in place, then everything breaks down.
Prime Minister's delegation included Immigration Minister Brent Simonet, National Security Minister Marvin Dames, Public Service and National Insurance Minister Brent Rowe, Police Commissioner Anthony Ferguson, Defense Force Commander Talis Bethel, and National Emergency Management Agency Commander Stephen Russell. Meantime, fire investigators are hoping to get to the bottom of that blaze, and they're relying on a suspected arsonist to answer some crucial questions in this regard. Our Amajal Knowles has this angle to the story.
Police believe that fire in the Mud Abaco yesterday was no accident. In fact, they're still questioning a man suspected of the crime hours after the blaze swept through the Marsh Harbour shantytown. Smoke still smoldered from the ashed remains. Now, South Abaco MP James Albury also telling us in the wake of Sunday's fire that well over 150 were left homeless, but in the midst of it all, no lives were lost.
Volunteer fire services were at the site shortly before 7. As well as police on scene, as well as other volunteers. The fire was contained around 10, and by 11:30, the fire is more or less completely diminished. So there was no loss of life or major injury as a result of the fire. Our rough estimate right now is 55 structures destroyed by the blaze. We have about 170 odd displaced persons. We have a temporary shelter set up, with some supplies, Red Cross, Alive, BCC, and several other civil organizations.
Mr. Albury credited the quick responses of local volunteers and officials that managed to get the blaze under control.
I'd just like to add, this is actually a big credit to the organization of our volunteer fire services. If it weren't for their early response and their professionalism, this fire may have still been blazing right now, and who knows what may have happened. We may have had injuries or loss of life, but due to their diligence and their professionalism, fire was able to be snuffed out before it got to that destructive of a point.
The mud's no stranger to fires, as back in 2014, a fire claimed the lives of 2 people in that makeshift community. For JCN News, I'm Amajal Knowles.
Now, as you just heard, the now homeless residents of the mud are being housed in shelters managed by the Red Cross, with distribution taking place at Pastor Robin Weatherford's church. Apart from providing meals, the Red Cross has also provided emergency hygiene kits. Officials say there is a need for bedding, towels, soap, toothpaste, boys' clothing, and shoes for children ages 8 to 16 years. This considering more male children were left displaced by the fire than females. We can also tell you that 4 people needed medical attention last night, 3 hypertension cases, another with a breathing issue. But according to an area pastor, others were wary about seeking medical help because they are undocumented.
So many people are hurting in our country. So many people don't have food in their cupboards. So many people just don't have what it takes to live. I spoke to one lady today who was almost in tears and said, "Pastor, there's nothing in my house to eat." And I was able to encourage her and tell her, "Listen, don't leave the grounds. There's something we have for you." And so my greatest motivation is to see people blessed, to see people taken care of. I mean, this is the 21st century, and the least the church can do is meet the needs of people. As a matter of fact, it was the ministry of Jesus. What he did, he always met the felt need, and then he addressed the spiritual need. And so we're just following the mandate of Jesus.
Long term, the Red Cross's goal is to get school supplies and psychological help. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.